Your brain has been hijacked. It's not a violent, overt takeover. It's a quiet, insidious con, run by an expert inside your own skull. And the currency of this con is a little molecule you've heard of, dopamine. You've been told it's the pleasure molecule, a simple reward for a job well done. That's the first lie the con artist tells you. It's a neat, tidy story that keeps you from looking too closely at the operation. The truth is far more complicated and far more important for you to understand if you ever want to be the one in charge again. Dopamine isn't about pleasure. Not really. It's about motivation. It's the wanting, the craving, the relentless pursuit of something more. It's the chemical that tells you to get up off the couch, to hunt, to build, to connect. But in our modern world, that finely tuned survival mechanism has been turned against us. It's being triggered not by the need for food or safety, but by the infinite scroll, the ding of a notification, the promise of another pointless reward just a click away. Before we can dismantle this operation, we need to clear the file of misinformation, bust the myths. The biggest myth is that a dopamine detox is about eliminating dopamine. You can't. You wouldn't want to. A brain without dopamine is a brain in the grip of Parkinson's disease. It's a state of apathy and inaction. This isn't about eradication. This is about regulation. It's about wresting back control from the cheap, easy hits that have flooded your system and desensitized you to genuine satisfaction. Think of your brain's reward system like a pristine, quiet lake. A genuine achievement, finishing a difficult project, having a deep conversation with a friend, is like skipping a stone across it. You see the satisfying splash and the beautiful, concentric ripples that expand outward. It feels meaningful. Now imagine a speedboat tearing across that same lake, over and over again. That's your phone. That's the endless stream of notifications, likes, and algorithmically curated videos. The constant churn and noise make it impossible to appreciate the simple, elegant ripple of that single stone. The goal of a detox is to get the speedboats off your lake so you can once again find joy in the stones. Let's talk about what's really happening in there. Picture your normal day-to-day state of being as a baseline level of dopamine. It's the steady hum that keeps you alert and motivated. When you do something your brain perceives as beneficial, eat a good meal, exercise, or, in the modern sense, get a social media notification, you get a spike of dopamine above that baseline. This spike feels good. It's a signal that says, hey, that was good. Do that again. The problem is, your brain is a master of maintaining equilibrium. It's a process called homeostasis. If you constantly create huge spikes with artificial high-reward stimuli, your brain fights back. It says, whoa, this is too much, too often. And to compensate, it does two things. First, it lowers your baseline level of dopamine. Suddenly, that steady hum of everyday motivation gets quieter. The world seems a little grayer, less interesting. Second, it starts to down-regulate your dopamine receptors. Think of them as landing pads for the dopamine molecules. Your brain literally removes some of the landing pads, making you less sensitive to the dopamine you do have. This is tolerance. Now, not only is your baseline lower, but you need an even bigger spike, a faster speedboat, just to feel the same level of fleeting pleasure or motivation you felt before. Have you ever found yourself scrolling aimlessly, not even enjoying it, but unable to stop? You're not looking for pleasure anymore. You're just trying to feel normal. You're trying to get back to a baseline that your own habits have eroded. This is the trap. The very thing you reusing to feel better is what's making you feel worse in the long run. The development of tolerance and desensitization is a slow, methodical process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like a crooked accountant skimming fractions of a penny millions of times over. You don't notice the loss until the entire account is drained. I had a client once, let's call him Frank, a high-frequency trader. Frank lived and breathed the market. In the beginning, the thrill was in making a smart, well-researched trade and seeing it pay off. That was his stone skipping on the lake. But soon, that wasn't enough. The wins needed to be bigger, the risks higher. He started making reckless trades, chasing the spike. His baseline had dropped so low that the quiet satisfaction of a stable portfolio felt like boredom. He described his life outside the trading screen as black and white. His family, his hobbies, they couldn't compete with the technicolor explosion of the market ticker. He was completely desensitized to normal life. The speedboats on his lake had become oil tankers, and the wake they left behind had eroded the shoreline, making the entire ecosystem unstable. When we sat down, he couldn't maintain eye contact for more than a few seconds before his gaze would dart toward his phone, checking numbers that didn't matter. His brain was so conditioned to seek that intense, artificial spike that the subtle, complex reward of a human connection was literally invisible to him. Does this sound familiar? Maybe it's not the stock market for you. Maybe it's email or video games or online shopping. The mechanism is identical. This brings us to a crucial piece of detective work: spotting your own tells. In an interrogation, a tell is an unconscious physical or verbal tic that reveals a person's true emotional state, often betraying a lie. Your dopamine-seeking brain has its own set of tells, and learning to spot them is the first step in taking back control. The most common tell is the transitional check. This is when you reach for your device in the micro moments of your day, waiting for the elevator, standing in line for coffee, walking from one room to another, the second a conversation has a momentary lull. You are not consciously seeking information. You're instinctively seeking a stimulus spike to avoid the perceived pain of a single moment of unoccupied stillness. It's an unconscious reflex to fill the void. Another tell is what I call reward stacking. You're watching a TV show, but you're also scrolling through your phone, maybe with a bag of chips in your lap. You're layering low-grade dopamine hits on top of each other because no single one is satisfying enough to hold your attention. You've become a connoisseur of cheap thrills, and your tolerance requires a cocktail of them just to keep boredom at bay. I want you to ask yourself this. When was the last time you just sat and did nothing for 5 minutes, without feeling a frantic inner itch to be stimulated? That itch, that internal squirming, is the most powerful tell of all. It's the addict brain in withdrawal, begging for its next hit. It's the con artist in your head whispering, "Just a quick look. It won't hurt. You deserve a little treat." Recognizing that voice and identifying that itch for what it is, a symptom of dysregulation, not a genuine need, is your first victory. The science behind this is elegantly simple. Your brain operates on a principle of neuroplasticity, meaning it physically changes and rewires itself based on your repeated behaviors. Every time you give in to that itch and reach for your phone, you strengthen the neural pathway that connects boredom with instant gratification. You are, quite literally, paving a superhighway for that specific behavior, making it smoother and faster each time. Meanwhile, the neural pathways for sustained focus, deep thought, or delayed gratification become overgrown and neglected, like forgotten country roads. The brain is efficient. It prioritizes the pathways you use most. So when you find yourself unable to read a book for more than a few pages, or unable to focus on a single task without distraction, it's not a moral failing. It's a traffic problem. You've built a 6-lane expressway to Distraction City and let the roads to the library and the workshop fall into disrepair. The detox we're about to discuss is not a punishment. It is a massive civil engineering project for your mind. We are going to shut down the superhighway, force a detour, and start clearing the brush from those old, forgotten roads. It will feel inconvenient. There will be traffic jams in your head, but it is the only way to redraw the map. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks, the operation. I call this the 7-day reset protocol. It's not about living like a monk forever. It's a strategic, controlled shock to the system designed to reset your baseline and resensitize your receptors. Think of it as taking a key witness off the grid to get them clean before they testify. For these 7 days, your job is to eliminate as many of the high dopamine, low satisfaction behaviors as possible. The rules of engagement are simple, but they are not easy. Rule 1. No entertainment-based screen time. No social media, no YouTube, no streaming services, no video games. Your phone can be used for calls, texts, and navigation, but that's it. All notifications off. Rule 2. No junk food or processed sugar. These foods are engineered to create massive dopamine spikes. Stick to whole, natural foods. You'll be surprised how good a simple apple tastes on day 5. Rule 3. No listening to music. This is a tough one for many, but music is a powerful mood regulator and a source of easy dopamine. We want your brain to learn to create its own soundtrack again. Rule 4. No stimulants like caffeine unless you have a true physical dependency, in which case, reduce your intake significantly. Now, what can you do? You can work, you can exercise, you can read physical books, you can write in a journal, you can meditate, pray, or simply sit in silence. You can take a walk in nature. You can have real, face-to-face conversations with people. You are replacing cheap, passive consumption with difficult, active creation and connection. Let's walk through the surveillance log of what you can expect day by day, because the con artist in your head will be working overtime to get you to quit. Day 1. The novelty. This day can feel deceptively easy. You're motivated. The newness of the challenge is its own reward. You'll feel a bit of phantom vibration from your phone, an echo of a habit, but it's manageable. Don't get complacent. This is the calm before the storm. Days 2 and 3, the abyss. This is where the withdrawal hits, and it hits hard. You will feel an overwhelming sense of boredom, anxiety, and irritability. This is the most difficult period, and where most people fail. Your brain will scream at you that this is pointless, that you're miserable, that just one little peek at Instagram won't hurt. This is the addict brain panicking as its supply line is cut. Your job is to observe these feelings without acting on them. Acknowledge the craving. Name it. Ah, there's that itch again. Then let it pass. It will pass. Let me tell you about Margaret, a CEO I worked with. On day 2, she called me, convinced she was having a breakdown. She said the silence in her house was deafening. She'd never realized her entire life was backfilled with podcasts, TV news, and scrolling. I told her to just sit with it. She later described it as the most excruciating and ultimately the most important 2 hours of her life. She was finally meeting herself, without a buffer. Days 4 and 5. The turning point. Sometime during these days, the fog begins to lift. The cravings will lessen in intensity and frequency. You'll start to notice things you hadn't before. The taste of your food, the feeling of the sun on your skin. Your mind, starved of its usual junk food, will start to find interest in the world around you. This is the moment your baseline begins to recalibrate. Your focus will start to improve. You might find yourself able to read for an hour straight. This is a critical phase. The initial pain is subsiding, and you're getting the first glimpse of the reward. Do not celebrate by peeking at your phone. That's like an undercover agent breaking cover just before the bust. Stay in the role. Days 6 and 7. The clarity. By now, you should be feeling significantly better. Calmer, more present, more in control. Ideas may start flowing. You'll feel more creative. The world will seem more vibrant, more interesting. Simple activities will bring a sense of profound satisfaction. This is your brain returning to its natural sensitive state. You've weathered the storm. The oil tankers have left the lake, and you can finally see the clear water again. The purpose of this final stage is to reflect. What did you miss? What didn't you miss at all? What activities brought you genuine contentment? This is the intelligence you'll use to build your new operational strategy moving forward. How do you plan to reintegrate technology without letting it hijack you again? So what's the end game? What have you accomplished during this 7-day operation? You've demonstrated to yourself on a deep physiological level that you are not your cravings. You are the one who observes them. More importantly, you have kicked off a fundamental process of neurological repair. Remember we talked about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself? By starving the high dopamine pathways and feeding the low dopamine, high-effort ones, you have literally started to forge new connections. Think of it like this. Your habitual scrolling created a deep, muddy rut in a field. It was the easiest path for your thoughts to take. During the detox, you got out of the rut. It was hard work. You had to trudge through the thick, untamed grass. But every step you took on that new path, every page you read, every moment you sat in silence, packed the earth down a little more. You started to create a new, healthier trail. After 7 days, it's not a superhighway yet, but it's a walkable path. The old rut is still there, and it will be tempting to slip back into it. But now, you have a choice. You have an alternative route. That's freedom. Your dopamine receptors, which were downregulated and desensitized, have begun to upregulate. The landing pads are being rebuilt. This is why a simple walk in the park feels so much more rewarding on day 7 than it did on day 1. It's not the park that changed it, it's your brain, its ability to appreciate it. Now, for the field manual. How do you return to the world without getting immediately compromised? This is about integration, not permanent isolation. The goal is to be the master of your tools, not the other way around. First, create a set of inviolable rules. For example, no phone in the bedroom, ever. Or, social media is checked once a day for 15 minutes on a desktop computer. These are your new standard operating procedures. Second, practice intentionality. Before you pick up your phone, ask yourself a simple question. What is my mission? Are you looking up a specific piece of information? Are you contacting a specific person? If you don't have a clear mission, don't pick it up. This prevents the mindless, reflexive scrolling that gets you into trouble. Third, schedule periods of stillness into your day. Just 5 or 10 minutes of doing nothing. No phone, no book, no music. Just sitting. This is your daily training to tolerate boredom and build the muscle of mindfulness. One of the biggest pitfalls is the all-or-nothing mindset. People complete the detox, feel fantastic, and then dive right back into their old habits, get overwhelmed, and declare the whole thing a failure. This isn't a one-time fix. It's the beginning of a new way of operating. You will slip up. The key is to notice it, without judgment, and get back on the path. So what can you really expect after this? You can expect your attention span to increase dramatically. You'll find a renewed interest in hobbies and projects you've long neglected. Your ability to connect with the people in front of you will deepen, because you won't be mentally reaching for your next digital hit. You will feel a sense of agency, of being in the driver's seat of your own mind. You'll find that you no longer need external validation to feel good. You can generate your own sense of satisfaction through meaningful effort. It is not about making life harder. It is about rediscovering the profound joy in things that are real. This detox is the first step, but the digital world is just one theater of operations. In our next briefing, we're going to take this a step further. We'll move from a temporary detox to a permanent philosophy, digital minimalism. How to ruthlessly curate your digital life to support your real one, ensuring you stay in command for the long haul. The tools are powerful, but they are just tools. It's time you decided how they get used.